I'm sure I know most of you. I've been with RCS for about, I guess it's 12 years now. So I'm going to be presenting this demonstration along with Diane Dupre, which I'm sure all of you know. Diane has been with RCS for how long, Diane? Not to put you on the spot. Well, you're on mute,
17 years.
17
Sorry,
years.
I just unmuted myself. 17, yeah.
So I think Diane's probably has been involved in most of your training, some setup and so forth. So what we've done here today is we built a webinar to kind of talk about some of the features you may not be familiar with. As you all know, Counterpoint is used by hundreds of garden centers. RCS works with hundreds of garden centers across New England. And garden centers love the features that Counterpoint has to offer, things like the ability to manage customers and to set credit limits, create invoices, statements, the ability to automate your purchasing process, to replenish stock by mins and maxes or days of supply. You can set up the ability to sell product and purchase by grids or even by units of measure, easily generating labels. You can store labels, print unlimited labels. There are integration options with e-commerce, and then of course, hundreds of reports. But today we're gonna focus on the things that we feel you might not know about that we think are gonna have a tremendous impact on your business. I'm actually going to stop my video here and so we can focus on the presentation and let's get started. All right, so some of the key features that we're going to talk about here today include the ability to easily modify touchscreens and some really unique things that you can do with that. Contract pricing. We're going to talk about quotes and orders, inventory management, mobile inventory, which you may or may not know about, and then bill of materials for grow operations. Diane's going to be sharing some of these topics with me as well. But I'm going to start with the touchscreen editor. So I know you guys probably all know that you can modify your touchscreens. But there are some unique things you may not know about. So like, for example, the ability to build a main screen for your touchscreen just for holidays. And you can easily switch over to that, during the fall when the holiday season begins, and we'll take a look at that. Filtered lookups. You can do filtered lookups on types of plants. So if somebody comes up and says, hey, what do you have for perennials? Or what do you have that are good for sun? You can actually do a filtered lookup and be able to direct them to the appropriate plant for their needs. You can also build run pages. Run pages can guide your cashier through the steps necessary to actually generate an order for a customer by, asking them everything from, what is your job number? Where are we delivering this, etc. And then the button editor has hundreds of actions that you can do within Counterpoint. And let's take a look at that right now. So let me flip over to Counterpoint. So basically I went into setup, point of sale, and touch codes. And now I'm in my button editor. I selected the touchscreen that I want to work with. So let's start by talking about how you can easily flip from one touchscreen to another during the holidays. So basically I have my main screen set as a default, but I can actually build an entirely different main screen, which I have set up here for holidays. So during the holidays, I can simply switch over to this screen and set this as my default throughout the holiday season. So you have all your seasonal items there. So it's pretty simple to do. And on any of these topics, I encourage you to look at our YouTube channel because I know we have actually done some touchscreen editing training, as well as training on a lot of the topics we're going to take a look at today. The other one that I wanted to show you is on my main screen. So let me switch back to that, and I'm going to make that my default. is the ability to do a filtered lookup. So for example, I have my perennial button set here, and my action is item from lookup. So I basically set the item, this action item from lookup. And when you do that, you then have this filter option that pops up. So you can click on edit filter and you can select the category. So in this case, I want this filter to just be focused on perennials. And so, so now it will do that. So when I'm at point of sale, I can simply click on the perennial button and it's going to give me a filtered lookup of just my perennial categories. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is run pages. So this happens to be my order button, and I've set up some order options here. So if I'm going to process a new order, I have this set as a run page. So I want my order takers to make sure that they follow the sequence in placing an order. So I've set up a run page. Okay, and that's just an action that you can choose under this section called actions. Okay, and now I can click the run page and show you how I've done that. So basically, when I'm in point of sale, the first thing I want to do when I'm placing an order is I want to change the line from a sale to an order. So that's my very first action. My second action is I want the ability to look up a customer easily or add a customer to the ticket. So my next action is customer from lookup. Then I'm using a profile field that will actually capture a job number. Then I have it prompting next to enter in the ship to address or the deliver address. And then you might want to add notes on that ticket as well. So maybe notes that say, you know, deliver material to the back of the house or something like that. So that's an example of a run page. All right. So I think, let me jump back on my presentation. And yeah, so there are, again, hundreds of actions that you can use. And I mean, looking at the touchscreen that's here, the first button is a button page. You could do gifts during the holidays under $50 or whatever amount that you want to set that as. You can put a button on the screen to actually generate a quote and then recall that quote or an estimate, whatever you want to call it. You can change your field labels as well. But yeah, so that's a little bit about Touchscreen Editor. And as I mentioned, there is a whole YouTube demonstration training video that you can look at out on our YouTube channel. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is contract pricing, specifically for your wholesale or landscape customers. So these are special prices that are dictated by the customer type. A lot of people might say, okay, well, I'm just going to change my customer type to wholesale or landscape, but you might also want the ability to have different levels of pricing for your landscapers. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to jump into Counterpoint again. So, so what we're going to do is first we're going to use our profile fields and attributes. So let me show you those. So you're going to go to Setup and you're going to go to System and then Quick Setup. So in Quick Setup, you have these the ability to add profile fields. Okay, so I have some for my items, season, branded flower. So this is going to drop into my item record so I can actually fill in these codes that I've built. But we're talking about wholesalers right now. So let's go to customers. So I have
is there a limit to how many profiles you can set up?
You have so you have 5 code-based profile fields in inventory, and then because that's inventory is where you're going to need to like kind of section off and slice and dice your data the most, they give you 6 additional attribute fields.
Okay.
But there's no limit to the amount of codes that you can build underneath it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so back to customers. So I have clicked this button, turned it on, called it wholesale, and now I've built some codes below it. Okay, so these are from my landscapers, landscape A and B. So what's going to happen is when I go into create, let's go into customers first. So let's look at the customer record. And let's pull up a customer that I believe is a landscaper. So we'll pull up John Ross. I have him listed as wholesale. And then when I go to the profile field now, I can actually tag him to get wholesale A-level pricing. Okay, so that's going to be the trigger to generate your contract pricing. All right, so we'll save that. And now we're going to go into inventory and then pricing, contract pricing. Okay, I also want to remind everybody that you have this magnifying glass. So if you just wanted to search contract pricing, you could come up here and just type that and it's going to bring you right to here. Okay, so I'm going to open this and we'll go ahead and build a contract price for this wholesaler. Okay, and if you have a start and an ending date, so if you have contracts, you can enter those, but I'll just keep it separate. So I'm going to find my category, which is my wholesale category. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is going to go to the rules section, define that rule. So it's going to be A-level pricing. Okay, and then I'm going to come here and define what I'm doing the special pricing for. So if there's a minimum quantity that they have to buy to get that, that's what you would use this for. But we're actually going to make it a discount percentage, and my A-level customers are going to get a discount based on price 1, which is essentially my selling price, of 20%. Okay, and I can come here to the item field and I can say, and this is only on certain categories or certain departments. So you can define that even more by picking, you know, certain categories that they get this special pricing on. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is let me pull in, actually, I think I need to do it here. I'm going to come to the customer category and I'm going to do a right click and customize. When you do that, you basically can create another filter box that's going to display on the screen here. So now I'm going to go to look for my wholesale because I created it as a profile field. It's now popping up here because it's now part of the database. And I'm going to say wholesale is exactly, or betweens, contains. I mean, you pick what makes the most sense. We'll do is exactly. And I'm going to simplify that. And so now you see I just added this wholesale box here. So now I'm going to pick wholesale A. Okay. And now my rules are basically for wholesale customers marked as A, they're going to get a 20% discount, you know, based on that category. So that's essentially how you would set up a contract price for a wholesaler or a landscaper with multiple levels. All right, so I'm gonna now stop my share. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. All right. Yeah, so we basically covered how you can set up wholesale pricing based on price levels. All right, I'm going to actually stop my share again. I'm going to turn it over to Diane, and Diane's going to pick up from here.
So what I was hoping to cover here, I mean, everybody knows you go into the touch screen, you can sell things. But let's say you have somebody to come in and they want to, you know, they want to come in and they want to ask you about, if I buy, what's it going to cost me if I buy, these items, a couple of these trees, we've been talking to your people on the lot. So you can actually quote them the product that you've been talking about and how much it's going to cost. So at this point, you may want to capture their name here. So I'm going to add Ryan because I don't think he's in my system yet. And you can capture the name, a phone number, or an email address if you wanted to follow up with them to see if they're still interested. But here we go. We're going to, Ryan's been asking about a few things. He wants to know about blue spruce trees. He's got, something on the north of his house. It's really wide open. There's fields stretching across. He just wants kind of a windbreak. So he wants maybe 3 of these trees. I've got a quantity button down here that I can't even see. And he wants to know, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to be, $30. These are not big trees. Do you want us to help you plant them? I could actually add a planting fee in here, and I'm going to say, the planting fee is also going to be $3. So, and this is just what it's going to cost. And so I've gone to the, wow, my planting fee is way more than my trees. Never mind about that. So what I've been wanting to do is, I've already talked to Ryan about this. He's a local homeowner. He'll probably come back. Probably doesn't want the trees to be planted, but, I can work with him on that one at some point. But now, he's going to go, and maybe, he's going to go with just this information that he scribbled on a piece of paper he found in his pocket. Rather than do that, we can go and change this into a quote. And all you have to do, there is a function, as Darlene says, there's a lot of functions in the touchscreen. Here, we just build in what we've told him, put his name on it, and now I can just change it into a quote. When I change it into a quote, I can then print the quote, and I don't know if it's going to my printer or on screen, hoping it's on screen. Oh, that's my printer. So he can walk away now with something that has my name on it, or, my company name on it, has contact information. It's got, all the information he needs to come back to me and say, even who he was talking to. I was talking to, Rep MGR, and this is what they gave me. And he's got a whole piece of paper now. And then when he comes back, he can bring back that piece of paper and say, yep, I'm ready to do this, but heck, I don't want that planting fee. It's way more than the trees. Anyway, in that case, there's another function called recall the quote, and you would just bring it up. You would find it, and you could find it by the quote number if he has it with him. In here, that piece of paper may have a scannable barcode on it. You could scan that into this quote field here, and find that, and then it'll show you the thing on the back, and then I'm going to recall the quote. Well, I wrote this in as sale lines. You can see these are green sale lines. He doesn't want the tree planting fees. These are small trees. He thinks he can handle it, so I'm going to get rid of that. He wants just those 3 spruces that he's going to put in as a future tree break at this point. And now I've just very easily turned this in. There's no confusion on what we told him. There's no confusion on, who I told it to, when I told it to him, how much I quoted out. And it's very simple at this point to make the sale because it's all written. I don't have to type anything else in. What I do want to mention to you, though, is if it's a much larger, I'm going to, oh, Ryan, thank you very much for buying this. You're very, very nice of you to, yeah, really appreciate that. But if you make
one question about the quote. I'm pretty forgetful and I lose things a lot. If I don't have that piece of paper with the quote number, are you able to look it up by my name?
Yes, I am. And so here's my recall quote, and I'm going to go look it up. And since I took your name, you're Terry now. I'm going to find Terry's quote here. And here it is, and I'm going to recall that quote.
Okay, perfect.
Now, the difference here is when I did this, I made this an order instead of lines. So when I quoted Terry, I made these lines order lines. And the reason I did that is because of the quantity that he wants. I may not have stock on this when he comes back, or he or she comes back to get these products. I may have to actually order them from my vendor and then call him and have him come pick it up, or even deliver it to him if I'm feeling very nice to Terry. In this case, you know, I can't provide these to him right now because of the quantity that's here. I'll be able to get them to him in a couple of days or next week or something like that. I can just do this, and I can take money now if I want. He's going to write me a check, or I can do a final payment if he's giving me a credit card. So I can actually take his credit card right now. I don't have credit card set up, but I can take his credit card right now, choose it as final payment. I don't have to charge his credit card right now. And I'm going to say, okay, when I release this ticket, it is going to want to, in this case, charge the check, but if it was a credit card, charge his credit card. Now, when that happens, the credit card, when you take credit card, it's still going to go to the payment terminal, still going to want them to tap, insert, or swipe their card. It will still go out to Secure Pay and get a token. So again, that card number isn't even encrypted on your system here. It's up at Secure Pay. When I go to release this, it has that token to then go and charge his card. So I'm going to hit complete. So now from my quote, I made an order. And I made that by basically starting with order lines before I hit quote. Okay. Any other questions?
I don't think so. Makes sense.
Okay. Orders. When I have a lot of orders that I'm going to deliver, I'm going to minimize my touchscreen right now. When I have a lot of orders that I can deliver, there's a couple of places that I can go to look at these orders. Order management will allow me to, and I have to put in a different station. Order management will allow me to see all of the orders that I have in my system right now, because it just lists them right out. And as I pick each one, it tells me what I have in those orders. So some of these are pretty good. And I can actually say, great, I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to create a pick ticket, because now I want somebody to go and find all of this and pull it all together, get it ready for the customer to pick up or for delivery. And this screen, by the way, it can be bigger if you want, and you can manage how much size you have on each end. So now you can see I really have a long order here. But when I do this, I can print a pick ticket. I'm going to say yes, and there's no group form defined, but it will go and print a pick ticket for me. And it basically moves it along in my order tab. So I have my pick verify. Did I really give you all of these or pick all of these? Just going to check that box again. And again, I don't have a form for pick verify. I can pack it and I can release it all through here. Now, in order to release it, there should be no amount due. Well, in this case, maybe there is an amount due. I can write from an order management, use the $ to collect. I only have one open ticket at a time because I still have my touch screen open. Close that one. Okay. Use the order management to collect my money. I have this already. Did you want to give me a credit card now or a check when you come to pick it up? So I can use this to collect my money. And then, no, I don't want to save the deposits right now. And move it along. And actually, when it comes, I would just release it. The other thing I can do is I can edit orders from here. Every time I edit an order, that's the pencil icon up here. Every time I edit an order, it does take it out of its current tab and moves it all the way back to pick, because it just assumes that whatever I edited needs to be repicked again because it's changed. And when I change it, you know, maybe I'm back ordering these lines or something like that, I'm going to save those changes. It's going to be back in that pick tab. But the whole benefit here from a garden center standpoint is I can go and pick all of these orders that I am shipping. Now, I don't know that I can put a ship date on here. There are ship dates on some of these items, but I can go here and pick it by customer. Who am I going to see? Or, you know, when did I put it in? And all of these were put in today, so that doesn't help me. When did I put it in, or who is that customer? And, oh, Ryan. No, you took yours. Gary.
There I am.
There you are, yeah. So, you know, I've got my order for Terry here, Terry Watson. So I can go and choose it. Another way to do this, so this is a really great tool, allows you to identify and work with multiple orders all at the same time. I'm going to close my order management. Another tool you have here is batch processing. So in my batch processing, I can pick orders. And in this case, I have a lot of options in my filter to choose from on how to filter this order. All right. But in this case, I'm going to filter it by ship date, which I think I have one for, oh, Valentine's Day. My station must be specified. Sorry, I went crazy. Okay. And, you know, now this is the order I have to ship on Valentine's Day. This could be something you use if you have any kind of floral delivery program. You could use this to print all the picking tickets that need to go out for delivery on Valentine's Day. A big day if you have that floral business, and you could have all of the orders printed all at the same time, pull it together, you know, provide the documentation to your driver, and you're good to go. He can go and start delivering orders. So, and that would print the pick forms. Sorry, I should have printed one. And again, just because when you do that, you could also then go and, just like the order management, you can release all the orders as well from here. The order management gives you a little bit more detailed control. You have to basically use the batch processing with filters, but each has their own benefits on that. Do you have any questions there, Brian?
Not seeing any.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to just bring up, I know I've talked to a lot of you, almost all of you, if not all of you, is your item records. And I know I've talked to you and I said your item type, inventory is tracking quantity on hand, non-inventory is not tracking quantity on hand, and any number of you have used perennials as inventory items, but annuals as non-inventory items, because pretty much once you buy your annuals and you bring them in and you sell them, by, you know, unless it's the fall flowers, by, you know, July, they're, you know, you're probably tossing a whole bunch of annuals. You don't have any more of those small 8-packs of annuals to sell to people anymore. That is still a choice. And one of the reasons I'm bringing it up is because on your choice, and I don't know if I have an annual here. One of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because some of you do inventory your annuals. And some of you inventory your annuals because you have a grow operation. And your grow operation, you want to know how many annuals maybe came from outside vendors and how many annuals came from your grow operation. And be able to, of course, you're going to all sell them under the same item number, but you'll know the source in Counterpoint. You know, what did I grow versus what did I buy? Maybe I can grow more, buy less. You know, maybe the cost benefit on that was not as beneficial as I thought, so I'll buy more from the vendors and grow less in my greenhouse. So some of you do, I believe, inventory your annuals. If you have grow operations, of course, you can do bill of materials. I'm just kind of flying through these slides, so. Bill of materials allows you to define what goes into a finished product. So here is a tropical hibiscus, and I grow this. So when I grow this, I have, seed packets that I use, pots that I put it in, potting soil that I use, and then there's overhead. And what I'm doing with the bills of materials is I'm basically defining what my finished product is. And that butterfly, that hibiscus, has to be an inventory item to start with. My components that I put in here can be inventory or non-inventory items, but I'm just identifying in my bill of materials the cost of growing this hibiscus, okay? And so what I'm defining is, what is the cost for one hibiscus? Well, it's 0.001 of a seed bag, and it's one pot, 0.01 of a bag of soil, and then 0.052 of what I've identified as the cost for my overhead. When I want to say that I've successfully grown items that I want to put into inventory, that's the quick assembly. Quick assembly allows me to find my item that I grew, say how many I grew, and it is going to do the work for my inventory quantities, reduce what I have on hand. For my non-inventory items, it's going to, well, these are green and red because I can change the quantities, but for my non-inventory items, it's going to just apply a cost to this. So I did 100 of these, and the cost, it's going to come up with a cost per assembled unit of $2.29 or $2.30 if I round it up. And that's great because I think they cost me a lot more from the vendor. So now I know my grow operation is successful because I've got this, and I grew 100. So when I do this, when I post this, it's going to deduct, however much of my potting soil, and it's going to deduct my empty pots, and the rest of these are just, non-inventory items. And I'll know how many empty pots I have left, how much potting soil I have left, how many seed packets I have left, and the overhead, well, is just the overhead. It's not inventory. And so when I post this, it's going to deduct from my component inventory, add to my finished product inventory. So that's one way to track your grow operations, using bill of materials, quick assemblies. And you do have to create, a non-inventory like grow operations overhead to come up with an appropriate cost for what you're doing.
So the components can be either inventory or non-inventory. Is that true?
Correct.
And
True.
Is there a best practices for, or does it just depend?
It depends on what you want to do. What you're really trying to do here, more than anything, is assemble what it costs you to grow this final hibiscus that you're putting on sale. Okay.
Diane talked about inventory versus non-inventory. We talked about profile fields and attribute fields that you can add to your items. Diane talked about bill of materials. One thing we didn't talk about is kits so much. So Counterpoint does allow you the ability to do kits. You can have miscellaneous kits that allow you to substitute items out. So for example, if you had a patio set and you had 3 different options for an umbrella, you might create a kit for that with a standard umbrella, but allow them to substitute for a different umbrella at the time of point of sale. So you can do things like that with kits. The tag-along kits is an example that you see here. So, and also one that Diane used when she was doing her Japanese maple trees. So you can actually sell a product, create a tag-along kit that says, would you like to add this to your ticket? And that was the example of, do you want to add the installation and delivery? If you say yes, that actually adds it to the ticket. I don't want to call you covering transfers, but you, of course, I'm sure you all know that you can move merchandise from the warehouse to the store. And if you have multiple stores, you can move merchandise around from one store to another. It actually creates a transfer document that will then follow your merchandise. So we'll create a transfer out document and then also create a receivings for the store that's going to be receiving that transfer in. And then of course, physical inventory is all part of Counterpoint. So there's the ability to freeze sections of your store, to do cycle counts, and to utilize tools that Counterpoint has available to help make that process easier. And that kind of leads me into my next topic.
Darlene, I'd just like to mention that we did a great webinar on kits last year. If you look on our YouTube channel, we go a lot more into depth on that. It's about an hour long, probably, on kits and how to create them and how to create tag along. So check out our YouTube channel if you're interested in learning more about kits.
Great. Yes, that was a great webinar. All right, so I want to talk about some mobile tools that are available to make this process easier. So first and foremost is our MIMs application. So MIMs is mobile inventory management system. It basically resides on an Android device, and we can sell those units. If they're hardened units, designed to be in a warehouse, designed to be in a garden center, maybe in a greenhouse, very durable. They allow you the ability to receive merchandise. You don't have to have a station out back to receive your merchandise. You just need to have your handheld device. You can have it on the floor when talking with customers. If they're looking for a specific product, you can do a quick item lookup and direct them where to go to find that product. It also connects with peripherals, Bluetooth peripherals that will allow you the ability to actually print shelf tags. So that makes that process a lot easier. And then as far as physical count is concerned, so you could start the process within Counterpoint by freezing sections of your inventory for a physical counting process, and then send that out to MIMs. And then MIMs will allow you the ability to kind of pull in that physical count worksheet and actually input your counts from that handheld device. So makes the process a lot easier. No more dealing with paper. You don't have to walk around with a laptop. Again, it's a mobile device that sits right in your hand. And then we talked about transfers. So MIMS has the features built in that allow you to go out with your mobile device, scan the merchandise you're going to be transferring out, and then on the flip side, receive it in with your mobile device. So it's a great tool. I believe we also have a webinar on our YouTube channel. So if you want to learn more about that, lots of garden centers are starting to adopt this technology, and certainly, yeah, go check it out on our YouTube channel to learn more about the features and functions of that product. And then Diane already talked about this. Diane, did you have anything to add at all to any of the topics?
Oh, you caught me again with my phone mute. Well, I guess, maybe open it up to questions or something. What do people do for their physical count? Do they only do it once a year, want to do it more often, and want some guidance on that? Or, how does, I know you have that MIMS YouTube, but how much faster is MIMS over something else, or over their current process? Mm-hmm. Do they have people been successful with handheld mobile units with handheld devices that do collect the inventory? that you're counting, that do collect the data. What else am I thinking of? You know, we can go into transfers as well. I mean, maybe you're a single site garden center, but what could you do with transfers? You could make a location for storage. And at the end of the Christmas season, where you have ornaments and other product, merchandise left over from the holiday sales, you know, bows or things like that, you could actually create a storage location and then just ship it into your storage location as you box it up, so that that's one physical count done, because you already counted it as you did the transfer. So some ideas like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Also, we should note that MIMs connects to Counterpoint through an API, so everything is updated in real time.
Great. That's a good ad,
I
Brian.
could go a little bit more on orders. For some of you where you have seasonal services like snow plowing or lawn care, you can actually create an order for that and then do a copy release, so that, you know, maybe the lawn care service is, you know, $75 every time you go. Well, every time you go, you do a copy release. It creates that invoice for the $75 for the service, but you still have the order there to work with for the next time you go for service.
Diane, we have a question. Does a quote affect the inventory?
It does not. A quote does not affect inventory. It doesn't commit any inventory, nor will it take any money. So you cannot take a deposit on a quote.
Another question, can we establish the expiration of a quote?
Yes, well, you have set up in your store configuration, you can set a standard expiration of a quote, but you can change that. So like, say maybe it's a really big job that you're quoted for one of your contractors or for one of your landscapers. You could even change that date that comes up. So the date that defaults is based on the 30 days or whatever you set in the store configuration. And then that date, that expiration date, can print on the quote form itself.
Thank you, Diane and Darlene.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.